this meeting to order. We can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if I could please have a roll call.
Supervisor Alex Apian.
Here.
Trustee Dean Morelli, absent. Trustee Karen Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Ron Alberico.
Here.
Trustee Dion Wright.
Here.
Highway Commissioner Jim Louch.
Here.
Collector Jessica Kennedy, absent. Attorney Gary Mueller.
Present.
Thank you. First item on the agenda for Road and Bridge Fund is approval of minutes. I have two sets of minutes for approval. One is for the monthly meeting of September 9th, 2025. The second is for the bid opening of September 16th, 2025. I will need a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Dion Wright. Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to bills. I have bills in the amount of $440,482.04. I will need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. Any questions on the bills? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, I please have a roll call.
Sapian.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Alberico.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens wishing to address the board tonight in regards to road and bridge?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm here to say thank you to Senator Ventura, to Representative Avalar, to the Highway Commissioner Jim Louch, to Supervisor Zapian, and to the board for voting for the road improvements in Fairmont. After watching myself and my parents pay taxes in Fairmont for nearly 7 decades, I can't tell you how good it feels to no longer be ashamed to invite someone to my home. And I'm speaking not just for myself, but for all the many residents of Fairmont who have been there for 50, 60, 70 years. We received a much-needed facelift, and Fairmont Community Partnership Group wants to say thank you. We complained when it was neglected, and I'm happy to acknowledge the improvements with our new roads and say thank you. Alex, you're doing a wonderful job as supervisor for all of Lockport Township. I organized attendees for the senior breakfast last week, and I organized a group trip to Lewis University last night. So I did not enlist all the other residents of Fairmont to come up and say thank you, but that doesn't mean they aren't equally proud and thankful for what you've done. I've had some residents, some seniors that can't get up here, ask if we're done with all the roads. There are a number of other roads in Fairmont. I know we got to Voles, and we got to Bressel and Godfrey. Is it possible that more roads will be paved in Fairmont in the coming years?
Yeah, we'll continue on in that direction for the road improvement plans. One of my items on my commissioner's report is to work on our 2026 road improvement.
I'm thrilled, thank you. That's it, I just came to stop by and say thank you all.
Well, thank you so much to Linda. Again, what we do is our pleasure, so I'm glad the residents like it and there's more work to come. Any other citizens wishing to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Highway Commissioner's report. Commissioner Louch, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, township officials. As to expound on what Linda said, we're working on our 2026 road improvement plan now, and I'll be talking to Alex here on more what roads we're going to continue to do. Our Bonnie Bray sidewalk restoration is complete, and we'll be looking for grant money to continue that program as well with the new sidewalks. Gaskin Drive was just, bids were completed. Austin Tyler won the bids and will finish up on Gaskin, which has been something Gary and I have been working on for a long, long time. We've been doing some training. We have some other townships. We'll be meeting at Plainfield Township tomorrow for the first on the scene training for placards and trucks. We live in a world now where trucks are all over and environmental troubles with them. And so we'll be doing some training for first on the scene to identify what's going on with them and who to call. Other than that, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Lash. No other business tonight? Do you have any final questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, if I can entertain a motion to adjourn the Golden Bridge Fund meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The Golden Bridge Fund meeting is adjourned. Moving on now to the township regular meeting agenda. The first item I have on the agenda is the presentation by none other than one of our partners, Habitat for Humanity. And I know tonight we do have the CEO, Nicole Berry, here today. So I'd like to welcome her up to the podium.
Yep.
And Mrs. Murray, the floor is yours.
Maybe spell your name, please.
Yes, Nicole Murray, Nicole, and Murray, Murray.
Perfect, thank you.
This is so exciting. Right? I love to speak, right, Cynthia?
Yes.
Not so much. No, right? All right, but thanks so much for having me. Alex and I have met, and he said, you know, he thought it would be great if we took the time to kind of talk about what Habitat's been doing. So let me start back. In 2019, our board went through training, and we had to, we kind of all voted that we were going to take on training that had to do with neighborhood revitalization. And that is through the Habitat program. And what is exactly neighborhood revitalization that we have found would work best for our affiliate is that we would go out into the community, and we've deemed Fairmont to be that community. And we would go out into the community, and our job is to empower the community and bring in the resources that we can through the partnerships that we have. So we've realized that really the groups that are in Fairmont and Delinda, if you add to this, if there's something that I don't know, please by all means tell us. But the groups that we've identified that we work with Will County. We have a really great relationship with Will County. We work with the Fairmont Partnership Group. Now there is a new group called Fairmont Forward. We work with the Park District, and then with the township. Those seem to be the groups. And then there's a bit of what goes on through the churches that are out there, and we have relationships with, I believe it's St. John, and with Shiloh. So those are the groups that we continuously to meet with. Did I miss any, Dylan? No? You think I got everybody? Okay. So we work with those groups, and what we just went through was we went through working with Will County on their what they're doing, their new Fairmont plan. So Habitat really partners and works with these groups to bring resources that we can do. So the handout that I gave you kind of outlines some of the work that we have been currently doing. So like I said, this started in 2019 is when we deemed this to be our neighborhood revitalization area. So through that, we have a critical home repair program that is supported by IDA. And the repairs that can be performed on the homes for income eligible can go as much as $45,000 and $15,000 on roofs. Because we've deemed Fairmont our neighborhood revitalization area, they move, when people apply, Fairmont moves to the top of the list. So they're the first ones that we go out and we do the income qualification, and if they qualify, they're the first ones that we're working on that. And we're planning on doing about 30 of those. So like I said, that's pretty significant when we could be doing roofs, and that has to do with beautification from the outside, and then it also has to do with health and safety.
That's the real crux of what that program is, okay? So, we're working with NICOR, that they wanna bring out their weatherization and energy efficiency upgrades to reduce utility costs. So through our program, we're identifying when our teams go out and they see what the issues are, then they can go back to NICOR and say, this would be a home for you to work on. So, and they have a whole grant program that they have to support that as well. So it's not, there's not a cost. And then, I'm gonna skip one, and the Rock the Block, I'll talk about that at the end. So we've worked with the Fairmont Partnership Group and on cleanups, and we've also worked with Will County on tree planting, flower beds, and mural projects to create neighborhood pride. So here's something that I thought you all might find very interesting. So if you look, in 2019, that's when we first did our rehab on 410 Delwood. You'll see what that home sold for at that time. If you keep looking, you'll see that the values of the homes have increased profusely. Is that a good word for us to say when you look at the numbers? That's a good and that's a bad, right? It's a good because equity and Habitat has been a driving force behind that because of the work that we have gone out and done, and we've improved the homes. That's a bad because that makes Cynthia's job a lot harder when it comes to income qualifying people for our program. So with that, those are things that we continue to want to talk about and be a part of. And I wanted, you'll see, if you look at 217 and 215 Fairmont, I moved that over just to point this out. 217 Fairmont appraised for $235,000. 3 months later, it approved 275. 3 months later. So that's that's a challenge for us, right? So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. But again, it's good, right? And yeah, so from that standpoint. But to let you know, we are currently 214 Delwood, if you turn the page, to 129 Rev Walton. Those are two homes that we, have we broken ground on 129 Rev Walton yet?
I think so.
That we have? Okay.
Yeah.
I do know we did
214.
214 Delwood, yes. So those are two new constructions. That's one of the things too. The new construction is what is raising the cost. So, and I shared with Alex at one point that we are currently, it's taking us, when I first started 10 years ago with Habitat, we were building our homes for about 150,000. And today with prevailing wage, if we do use the government money, we are over 300,000 built our homes. So there's challenges going on in the whole housing space of what we do. So to let you know, community engagement, we partnered with Will County years ago when we deemed Fairmont to be a neighborhood revitalization area, where we hosted 166 volunteers, and we completed 11 of those projects and held the permits for all of those. We continue to work with Shiloh, pay for the Rings basketball program, Juneteenth backpack events, equipment dedication. So we do find ways that we can support the events that go on within Fairmont, and we also try to bring resources to support those events as well. We have training for advocacy, leadership, and financial education. So if we find that the community does need help or support in areas, we're there to give that. And then as I mentioned, we've been working with the county on their Fairmont plan, where we helped sponsor and host the listening sessions to determine the same things that Fairmont continues to ask for, that we all know. We know they want sidewalks, we know they want streetlights, we know they want the water to be addressed, right? So we continue to be at that table, but some of those things we just can't get done today, all right? We all know that. Martha from the county gave such a good point. Like if we were to go and try to get sidewalks, how do you do that? Because you have to go and talk to each homeowner, right, about, can we take part of your property? Like, and how long does that take? So those are just things that we kind of try to work on. But here's something that I mentioned in the beginning. So we have put out to the community, we've talked with, Alex had actually come to, we called the meeting Fairmont Possibilities, and we presented a project that was called Rock the Block. And that's a habitat initiative that we have seen, and we've been watching our affiliate for years, watch the other affiliates that have done a great job with it. And what that is it's a 2 to 3 day event where we actually go into the community and we kind of what we call infiltrate the community to do beautification. It shows the community that there's action being taken. And after we've had the town hall meetings, when we go down that list and we go, well, we can't maybe get streetlights today, we can't get sidewalks today, but what can we show the community that we could be doing, and could Habitat be a vehicle to do that? This is the Rock the Block, and that's where I was saying, it's the 2 to 3 days with over 500 volunteers going into the community and taking care of projects that applicants have applied for. And does anybody remember the REACH program? Were you all, you know that one, Delinda, right?
Camp, yes.
Yeah, so that was where these it's kind of like that, but a little bit more organized than that. But, so what we've done is we've held a meeting so far, and we've asked, does the community want to get behind this? Because the one thing Habitat doesn't want to do, we don't want to come in, as Linda knows over the years, and be one and done, right? We want to help teach and empower the community to do this work, because we're only just a small group of what we can do. But if we can use our resources to the corporations, to the communities, to our partners, like a Lewis University, the Park District, or a Citgo, or, if we can bring those relationships to the table and we can bring value to the community, then that's so we're going to continue to hold the meetings to see if there is interest in doing a Rock the Block event, and we've talked about possibly doing that next August. So that would be one of the next things that we would be working on. We continue to work with the schools, with volunteer days. We've had a great relationship with Lockport Township High School. Unfortunately, their trades class was always working with us, and then there wasn't as much interest. But those, we do work with Romeoville and Lockport high schools for them to come out and still work on our homes. But there was an ongoing program that it didn't live on. That's the best way to say it. But, and then we continue to have the conversations about the infrastructure of the same things that I mentioned. So, so from that, Habitat is, and we are now Will Grundy Habitat, just so everybody knows. We did merge with Grundy County, and so we continue to see Fairmont as our neighborhood revitalization community. We so appreciate the support that we get from Lockport Township in your form of a donation that we actually use to do the work out there, as you're building the 2 homes that we mentioned at over $300,000. So you could imagine any dollar that we were able to raise supports that work. And then the IDA grants do not underwrite the salaries of our staff. They just do the work of, just to underwrite the materials and the labor that has to do that. So like Cynthia's position is not underwritten to do all that qualification. So those are that's like support that you're also giving when you provide the support that you all do. So does anybody have questions? Yeah. Come on, bring them on.
I want to understand the rehabs.
Yeah.
So are these like abandoned homes that you bought and rehabbed and sold them?
No.
Because one you mentioned something sold for, but then in the completed you said those were appraisals. So I just.
Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, some of these have been people that have been transitioned out of their homes. Some of them also just wanted to sell their home back to Habitat. So what we did is when we took them back, we rehabbed them. And then Cynthia puts, other families into homes, puts other families into them.
Right, so what are these values? Are they sale prices?
These are all the sale prices, yes, they're all the sale prices.
And then the new construction, these are appraisals of when they were completed?
No, these have actually sold. We've closed on these. See where it says completed?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually, all of these have been sold. And those are the sales price.
And these are since 2019?
Mhm. And just so everybody knows, Habitat can't come into a community and bring down the value. We have, the policy is we have to sell at fair market value. So we don't dictate the amount. We do use third-party lending, so that third-party lender, the appraisal comes through them, and we have to sell the home at the fair market value of what that appraisal came out.
And also, when you were, at one point, you were talking about things left to be done, you mentioned water. Is there still something going on with the water, or is that with the Joliet taking it over as?
Well, no, from the water, addressing the water, the standing water
Oh,
and all
flooding.
that, yeah. the
Flood
flooding.
water.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
mhm,
right.
I
yeah,
had that question for
Yeah.
a second.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that, from the county's perspective, I guess they had the Army Corps, isn't that what they have, Alex? The Army Corps of Engineers looking at that, yeah. But that, I mean, we have homeowners that continue, that's a problem. We try to address what we can on that.
I just a small question. What is the income cap for the program to rehab or beautify, winterize someone's home?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. But we could get you, can you make a note of that, Cynthia, and get her those numbers? Because it's based on the AMI, and then it's based on how many are in the house and that. So like to give you that number right here, I mean, yeah, but we could totally get you that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can get it.
Yes, and you know, here's something that I would love if you all knew. After the last town hall meeting, somebody came up to me and said, I don't know that I would income qualify for home repairs, but would you do our home repairs? And I said, oh, I never really thought of it that way, like, and it's because they really feel that they're looking for somebody that they could trust, and they felt, so I've gone back to our home repair manager and said, what would that look like if we did create a program? And again, we would make it very affordable, right? I mean, it would just be paying for our staff time and the materials and all that. We're not, you know, as we always say, nobody's getting rich at Habitat, right? You know what I mean? So why I say that is if you all hear that could be something more, if you could give us feedback on that, we would love to hear it. Because I was surprised that I was like, I get that. You want to trust who's coming into your home, and you feel through Habitat, and even if the contractors were vetted through us, you know, that could be a piece, and maybe we have our own Angie's list, right, Habitat's list, right, you know, of stuff, something like that. So that's something that we could look at too, just of what to say, how could we be serving and helping the community better.
It is a concern.
Yeah,
I had a few elders ask me that question.
you have that too?
Yeah, so they called me and said, hey, yeah, you know anybody who does plumbing? And I'm like, oh, I can look, and, yeah. those are-
You know, Cynthia, did you follow back up with Deanna?
Yeah, I will,
And if we
because-
could, maybe we could talk about like
Yeah.
what that could look like and what that could be, because if that is something that helps the community, by all means, and I do find that that's a senior thing,
It's a
is senior thing, yeah.
Be sure it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, and even if
Seniors need to feel
Mick goes there, right, if
Yes.
Mick even shows up and he's there with them and he's kind of, you know, maybe that's a piece that we could play too, that would be a great service to the community, so from that.
Because we have a critical home repair program, and then I'll give you the income requirements because it's based on your family size. So one program might go up to 80% of the AMIs, the area median income, the other one might go up to 100, so it all depends. And I'll be glad to share it with you. Give me your
Yeah,
information.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think Will County Senior Services had a thing for seniors.
And
Yeah.
Mick is actually who ran that program there.
Yeah.
He's not with us. He's our, that's,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. And I know
they don't have it.
Stopped it, and
Yeah.
then they said they were gonna maybe bring it back, but they haven't yet. Okay.
And now Brienne's not there any longer, so I have found that it might not be coming back right away, if it was.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they're not re-acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I thought too, if groups are in the neighborhood doing things like this, you know, kind of quantity discount or just, you know, have.
Yeah, that's
people
even a thought
convey it,
too,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean,
Same thing,
and
yeah.
we could organize that and vet who we felt would be best to do that work, you know, cause sometimes, yeah, you just, right?
It's about trust. People just
Yeah, a lot of
don't
it
let,
is trust, yeah.
People ripping them off.
Mhm. Well, and it's interesting too, because there's even people, that go to apply for our programs, and then when they find that it's funded by government money, then sometimes they pull back. So there's different, yeah, there's different issues that we get challenged with, I said, yeah. But no, we appreciate everybody's support here and what we've all been able to do together. To Alex's, work, Alex, you've done, just like Delinda said, you definitely, brought a new life, and I feel like we've started working on a great partnership together of what we can do to serve the Fairmont community better.
And one other
Yeah,
question,
of
now
course.
that you've wrapped up.
Yeah,
some
no, you keep going, I'm all in,
I just wanted to know about the lights, cause I never heard about the lights until like a couple weeks ago.
The street lights,
Yeah, that there's been requests for lights.
Oh, yeah.
I've
that's
never-
an ongoing.
That's what I heard.
As long
but
in the
I've
last
never
10
heard it
years.
at the township.
And you know, on that note, Delinda, do you have any talk on the street lights?
I mean, if you come to Fairmont, overall, it's dark in the evening. And if you go somewhere like over off of Princeton, Harvard Hill, it's pitch black in some areas. So lighting is definitely something that needs to be improved.
Yeah.
And Jim, is that something you got like on a back burner, or are you aware of requests?
I haven't got any requests, we did have one on Roslyn Way from that property actually, but it wasn't from him, it was from Mr. Horvath at the time.
Oh, that poll going on for a while.
And on that note, it'll be very interesting, we see the Fairmont plan that comes to the county. Cause that could help us all determine how much did that come out through those town hall meetings. But in our survey, because we had done some surveys, streetlights was a thing.
Okay, that's what I wonder about the surveys, can we see that? Were you aware of the lights thing, the lights request?
Yeah, recently.
Oh, just
I
recently?
have a little
Okay.
bit, I have a little bit of information to share, a
Okay.
little bit.
Yeah, because sometimes people talk amongst themselves and it's like, I
Right,
don't
did you
remember
never
ever
get
coming to
anywhere?
the township
Yeah.
attention to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even to get it on your radar,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I think that's it.
Is
Thanks
that
so much, I
good?
appreciate it.
No, thank you, all right.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much, Nicole and Cynthia. Very much appreciate an update from you all.
I wanted to leave my card, if you don't mind. And that way you could just send me an email, take it on the page, organization. So then that way, I'll respond back to you, okay?
Thank you again, good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be in touch. I'll definitely reach out to her tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on now to our first item up for approval on the township regular meeting agenda. It's the approval of minutes. I have minutes for town senior GA for the monthly meeting of September 9th, 2025. I will need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to bills. I have 3 sets of bills for tonight. For town, I have bills in the amount of $202,588.39. For senior, I have bills in the amount of $45,177.68. And for GA, I have bills in the amount of $47,156.83. Do we have any questions on either of the 3 sets of bills? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the bills, all 3 sets of bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson, second by Ron Alberico. Madam Clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Wright,
Yes.
Alberico,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sapien.
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any comments from the public tonight? Hearing and seeing none. Move on to reports. First report is the clerk's report. Madam Clerk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Supervisor. On September 19th, the clerk's office welcomed the breast cancer ultrasound screening company HerScan to the township building. The day went well and the turnout was excellent. The company is asked to return to the township for more dates beyond the original 2 dates of 9/19 and 10/29. I have arranged to have them return to the clerk's conference room on Wednesday, November 12th and Tuesday, December 2nd. Because we have been a location for HerScan, we are considered a champ for their company. I am in hopes that we remain a champ for sure. Additionally, I would also like us to occasionally become an event host, where we would arrange to have a special day of a township-sponsored event just exclusively for township residents. We continue to be very busy with notary services on a daily basis, with a record of over 195 notarizations done since my last report. Diaper pack distributions were over 50 since the last meeting. My deputy clerk and I have been keeping up with the packaging, labeling, and organizing of the diaper bundles each week. For United Way, we continue to track all recipients by their zip codes in addition to the parents' and baby's name. I am also working on a future contract with the company ELS, which stands for Electronic License Service, in hopes of being able to expand the clerk's office services to include license plate renewal stickers. My office has been in conversations with our attorney as well as our accountants on how and when we will be able to move forward with this most valuable service. I will also be in hopes of the board agreeing with me changing one of my part-time employees to a full-time position. This full-time employee will not only be the primary person to serve the public's license plate sticker needs, but will also be able to help with our notary service and diaper distribution program as well. I look forward to our future discussions. Lastly, I'd like to remind everyone that our 2026 Community Fun Day will be held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, May 16th, and that will be 2026. I've already had a few organizations reach out to me in reference to participation. We'll be sending out information to those that have expressed interest in starting January, February. Any business or organization that is interested in participating with us should be sure to contact the clerk's office at 815-838-1031 or email me at Erin, E-R-I-N, @lockporttownship.com. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any questions regarding the clerk's report?
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll move on to the assessor's report. The assessor had something come up tonight, but she did give me her report that I will read on her behalf. So the assessor's report is as follows. The assessor's office has received 72 total appeals filed by Lockport Township property owners. The appeals were filed with the Will County Board of Review by the September 8, 2025 deadline. The assessor's office staff has been working on reviewing the appeals and compiling evidence when necessary. Some appeals are settled prior to a hearing when a reduction in assessed value is appropriate. 72 appeals is slightly less than the typical number of appeals in a non-quadrennial assessment year. We are also preparing for our 8th annual Trunk or Treat event. This year's event will be held on Thursday, October 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There will be games and prizes, popcorn and food trucks, voting for the best decorated trunk, and of course the costume contest at 6:30 p.m. It's a free event that's a lot of fun for the whole family. The event is a lot of fun to produce and challenges the creativity of the assessor's office staff. If any township board members are interested in volunteering the night of the event, please let me know. Sincerely, Assessor Mary Ann Williamson. Do we have any questions regarding the assessor's report? Hearing none, we'll move on now to the building report. So I have two minor updates regarding building report. So first, the parking lot expansion. Reminder for the board that in late August, we did approve the engineering proposal for the parking lot expansion. Since then, we did reach out to the engineer to ask for referrals for lighting engineering. I did bump them recently about a week ago, and they're working on these references, but they're sending some over reliable ones that they work with. I reached out to the city of Lockport, and they sent me a few references. So I think we have some good leads. Given that we did approve the engineering proposal, what we proposed to the engineers in terms of a payment schedule is follow a similar schedule that we had before, which is 1/3 upfront, and that's on the bill list, 1/3 by the end of this year, so end of 2025, and then 1/3 at the completion of services, which currently is scheduled for the end of the fiscal year, which is late February of 2026. And since the first payment was made or will be made following the approval of these bills, the engineers, are going to hit the ground running. And again, the idea is that this will be completed by late winter or early spring of next year, so that we can go out to bid, and hopefully construction can start as soon as late spring or early summer of 2026. Any questions regarding the parking lot expansion? We'll move on to the garage floors. So I did double check and confirm with senior maintenance on this, but we did approve some garage floor coating in our previous board meeting. And just a little bit of a timeline, we did have to make a deposit of about 60% of the total payment. The old garage, they will start the project on the old garage on October 28th, and then we'll go to November 1st. And then the new garage will start on November 10th and will go to November 14th. Once those projects are completed, then the remaining amount will be paid towards the contractor. Any questions on the garage floor update? All right, we'll move on now to the mental health report. So for mental health, I did include, I know the agenda says September invoice coming soon, but I did receive the invoice recently that should be in everyone's packets. So for ThriveWorks, for the month of September, our total invoice for the month of September was a little over $8,500, so $8,512.15. Which is actually a little bit lower than on average, but we do typically, go down in the summer months. But I expect us, now that we're getting towards the colder months, that this number will increase. Usually our peak is around December. We do have a remaining grant balance of $13,000. That should be enough for the month of October, and then for a month in November or December. We have enough in reserves in town to pay this out of. I would like to give the board a big update though, as I know this was brought up in our September meeting regarding just funding of this program going forward. So I did check in with Joliet City Council and also the Joliet Fire Department. So I'm very happy to say that after a little over a year of them working with Springfield, they did finally receive the funds to fund this program, not just at the township level, but to take it come to life. So it's about $2 million. The first step of this phase is to reimburse the townships for the funds that they've already used for this program, which in our case, we've already sent them our invoices, we sent them all our reports. The township will be reimbursed a little over $122,000. And so that'll be, again, for an entire year. And that will be more than enough to cover this program at the very least until the next fiscal year, which will be March 2026. We haven't received a check yet. I know they were requesting invoices from all of the townships. And then we're working with the fire department, starting off slow, but they're now in conversations with the county board to see how can we, logistics-wise, how can we launch this program at a county-wide level. The challenge here is that every township that is participating in the program does it a little bit differently. Lockport Township, we work directly with the fire district, seeing as our township is almost entirely in the fire district. And so they're the ones taking the calls and working directly with ThriveWorks. We're just signing and mailing the checks. But say, for example, in Plainfield Township, they actually take those calls in-house, meaning their fire department almost doesn't touch anything. So every township does things a little bit differently, and then we have townships that aren't involved in the program at all. And then there's, of course, the bigger mental health projects going on at the county level. So I'm not sure how long that'll take. It'll definitely take at least a couple of months, maybe over a year for that, but I'll keep the board posted. We haven't had our usual quarterly meeting with the townships and the fire district, but I'll request one to happen soon. I think it's overdue.
Do you have, any sense, like, I never saw what actually got approved at the state for the funding? You know, when, I think initially it was supposed to be like a 3-year pilot program, and then it was just 1 year that was approved. Like, if the county can't figure out how to make this work for everybody, our funds gonna get lost, that's what I'm wondering. You know, like, what are the time parameters on this money once the townships get reimbursed and the townships that have agreed to this? And I understand there might be something about some townships thinking they don't want to participate or whatever, so it's kind of a tricky thing, so it could take a while to, what happens to that money if we don't expand?
Sure. No, I think that's a good question. The question being, what happens to the funds if it doesn't go countywide? What's the timeline? I think that's a very good question to ask, especially given that Springfield, I know, is facing a pretty big deficit, not just in this current year, but in years going forward. So that would be good to know if the money will be reappropriated to the county every year, or if it's going to be, you know, reabsorbed back in the budget. I don't know the answer to that question, but I am going to take a note and ask the fire department tomorrow, because I think that's an answer that this entire board should know. Because it'll help us determine long-term funding, whether that's through GA or through other grants. So that's a good question. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on now to the senior bus report. So for the month of September, we saw a record number of trips for year-to-date, 613 trips. So it was a very busy month. That brings our monthly average, from 522 trips per month to 532 trips per month. And so that brings our average utilization to 84.3%. And so we see in previous years, in 2023 it was a 79%, 2024 it increased ever so slightly, a little over 1% to 80.3, now we're at 84%. And by that I mean, you know, if we go back to 2019 and look at our record levels, we see that we are slowly but surely increasing our bus volume. Any questions on the bus report? We'll move on now to general and emergency assistance. So for the GA reports, I did include 2 in the packet for the usual reports. It's the system activity report and also the grant disbursement report. So for system activity, in the past several months, we've seen an uptick to 20 to 25 applications per month. We actually saw a decrease, now we're back down to 12, which is our usual average. The reason being is that LIHEAP, they reopened their program, they received additional funding, and so it's naturally we receive less applications because now LIHEAP does cover certain applications. So we're down to 12, but of those 12 applications, 1 at the time of this report was in process, but 11 of them were not eligible for general assistance. And then of those 11, 10 were considered for emergency assistance, 9 were approved in a total grant amount of $6,497.30, and 1 at the time was in process. And so if we look at the grant disbursement report, we look at all of the utility bills grants we helped out with, and we see that total dispersed does add up to the total grant amount of the system activity report. Any questions? Well, we'll move on now to, all right, no old business, move on to new business. So the first being Fairmont Drainage. So a little bit of a project update. So last Wednesday, October 8th, or rather it was October 29th, September 29th, we were receiving notices of interest from several engineering firms, right? We had an RFP go out for, again, this contract to spec out the bids for the Fairmont Drainage project. That's going to be about $5 million in ARPA funding. And so September 29th was the deadline. Well, as part of the RFP, there was a mandatory tour of the Fairmont neighborhood that happened on Wednesday, October 8th. And so I know a few of our board members were there or were at the tour at some point. I know some highway commissioner staff was there to help us as well. And so we just took one of our senior buses. We had about 8 total engineering firms that submitted a notice of interest or notice of intention to apply. I believe the majority of those engineering firms sent one person, got on the bus, and then what our consultants at our grant writers did is they created a big report where they themselves went out to survey the Fairmont area, the entire Fairmont neighborhood, north, central, and south, where they then took pictures and created notes of every single existing drainage part that exists in Fairmont. So manholes, ditches, culverts, etc. Included them in the packet, and then handed them to each of the engineers. And then we physically went on a tour on a bus to visit every single one of those locations. Tour's a bit lengthy, but it was very thorough, and it ended with us spending a good amount of time analyzing the southern portion of Fairmont, especially the Rosalind area, which is where the first phase of engineering and construction would occur. So since then, we've received the full applications of bidding from the engineering firms. So now, currently, we're now in the process of selecting an engineering firm. So what that looks like is, I actually just received emails from our grant writers a few hours ago, right before the meeting, but they drafted a list of interview questions. Their hope, I haven't confirmed yet, is that we will interview representatives from each of the engineering firms on Monday and Tuesday of next week. I'm meeting with the grant writers sometime end of this week, likely Friday, to confirm the list of questions, confirm the rubric that we'll be using for the interviews to make sure everything is equal and fair. And then after the interviews on Monday and Tuesday, there will be a set of meetings between anyone interested in the township and the grant writers to informally select a winner. And then at our November 4th township board meeting, the board will then formally vote on a winner. I will say again, if anyone is interested in taking part of this, whether that's being a part of seeing the interview questions, forming a part of the rubric, being in our input meeting this Friday, or even being a part of the interviews next Monday or Tuesday, please let me know. I'm happy to include anyone in any of those correspondence. But again, after that, we'll select a winner on November 4th. I will note that one thing that has been a little bit of a challenge in this process is that one of the pieces required in the RFP or in the selection process for the engineering firms to look at that determines their bid amount is that the Army Corps of Engineers is to create and deliver a final report to the township that we would then send to the engineers. Well, the Army Corps of Engineers was supposed to send that report about 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately since then it's been delayed because, directly quote from them, because of the government shutdown. Their work has been pulled elsewhere, and so until the shutdown is resolved, we won't have a report. So we did have to improvise and send the engineers other documents that we had, but obviously it's best once we receive the report to formally give it to them. And that's my update for Fairmont Drainage. Do we have any questions? Is anyone here, just a quick show of interest, is anyone here interested in being part of the interview process?
I probably should be, since all the work's gonna be done on the road district right away, that probably should be a part of that.
Okay. All right, so Commissioner Lausch, anyone else?
I'd just like to see the questions.
Sure, I can forward those. I can actually,
Attend meetings.
what I'll do is I'll forward the current questions as they are to the board, right, individually to board members. And then I plan on meeting with the grant writers, and I'll include you, Jim, on our meeting over Zoom this Friday. And then once we determine a final list of questions, I'll send that to the board again. And then we'll confirm an interview schedule that I'll also send to the board. If anyone's interested, you're free to come. Just let me know, just so I'll make sure we're respecting the Open Meetings Act. So.
Excuse me, is this a possibility that I could make that because during our regular meeting hours? or is it gonna be during the daytime, like early?
It would most likely be during business hours. Most likely be during business hours, but once I have it confirmed, I'll send the information to the board, just in case anyone's even one of those. It's optional, but again, I wanna leave everything open to the board, just because this is a lengthy and thorough process.
Okay.
But we're getting close, All right, other updates. I think the only other update I have is regarding the food pantry. So where we left off last month is the food pantry was to send us their set of bylaws, which at the time, we were sent the incorrect version. We then requested again. We were sent the most up-to-date bylaws, which we sent to the attorney to review. Unfortunately, there's still some work that needs to be done. One, I think there's still some errors in their bylaws, but two, more importantly, is they didn't send us any documentation because they recently amended their bylaws. So they sent us their amended bylaws, but no documentation that confirms that they amended it, that the board approved it, etc. And of course, that's important for us to know. And I think there's a few other things, but that's the main thing that we're waiting on. So we'll pass on that feedback. I know our administrator is our main point person. Obviously, I know Trustee Johnson and then myself were included in that correspondence. But our administrator is our main point person, so we'll just have to continue marching along. We're still in the bylaws phases. Any questions regarding the food pantry? Hearing none, we'll move on to approvals. So the first approval for tonight is Resolution 2025-3. It's a resolution of the Board of Trustees of Lockport Township, Will County, Illinois, to authorize transfer of monies to the Road and Bridge District Fund. Quick little context for the board. So, as Commissioner Lounge mentioned, there was, a large maintenance and resurfacing program regarding roads in Fairmont. So in particular, last year when this plan was being created by the Highway Department, the engineers, and the township had input, I understand at the time the total budget amount was close to $500,000-600,000. Well, about half of that, so $250,000 exactly, were given to us via grant from Representative Avalar through the state, the Springfield office. Now, getting any sort of capital funds takes time, it's a lot of bureaucracy, but we did have a grant writer that works exclusively regarding these projects. And as of around this time last year, our grant writer did tell us that we were to receive the funds, that check for $250,000, in late spring of this year. And so when we were creating the budget in January of this year, we were advised to include a line item, regarding a transfer, because that check would be received, that would then be used for those road projects. And we did receive a check from the comptroller's office from Springfield for $250,000 in May of this year. And so now that the project is done, as Commissioner Lausch has it in his bill list, it is now apt and appropriate to just transfer all that money that we received from Springfield, just so he can now cover those bills.
Oh, so the money came to the town fund rather than to the highway?
Right.
That's what you're saying? Oh.
Right, so we received $250,000 that was allocated to the township from Representative Avalar's office. And then I believe, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, there's $255,000 from Senator Ventura's office.
Correct.
That's still on its way, and that will go directly to highway. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, I can entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-3.
Amen.
I have a motion by Ronald Rico,
I'll second.
second by Chairman Johnson. Madam Clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Sabian?
Yes.
Alberico?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Motion is approved, thank you. Moving on now to a new item on the agenda. I have called Establishing the Lockport Township Higher Education Scholarship. So quick context for the board. What we currently have at the township is we have 5 scholarships. So we have 4 $2,000 scholarships that go, they're the usual scholarships. They're awarded to high school seniors that are going to the first year of college. Obviously, these are students that reside in the township. We, in the past, have had close to 20 applicants for these 4 scholarships. As the board, we as a committee select the winners, and they're awarded then at an award ceremony. So that's 4 of the $2,000 scholarships. Last year, the township, we established a military family scholarship. also in the amount of $2,000. Meaning if there was a student, again, that resides in the township who was the son or daughter of an active duty military member or a veteran, they could then qualify for the military scholarship. And I remember last year we did have 3 applicants for that and ultimately 1 winner. So we have 5 $2,000 scholarships total. Interestingly enough, in the past year and a half, this was just input I've received, but I do have received emails in the past both from parents and actually previous scholarship winners that have asked if there's any sort of scholarship or assistance, not for students who are going to the first year of college, but for students who are currently in college and are going into their 2nd or 3rd or 4th year. And I will say, myself having been in college a couple years ago, there's a massive or a very large amount of scholarships for the first year, but there's an extremely limited amount for those continuing their education. And so, township staff and I, what we did is we just adjusted the usual scholarship and created this one. All it's saying is that anyone going into their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, etc. year of either college or trade school may apply for this scholarship. Everything else is the same. There's the GPA requirement, there's a letter of recommendation, there's a legal information, there's a resume requirement, etc. And the dollar amount is the same, and there's also the requirement to come to an award ceremony, which is in June of every year. But the reason why it's on the agenda tonight is even though the scholarship wouldn't be until next year, and it wouldn't even be in the budget until the new fiscal year, we usually do send out the scholarships to the schools in the month of October and November. So if we were to create the scholarship, we'd have to approve it right around this time. Before I do entertain any motions though, I do want to hear some input from the board.
This is out of the town fund?
Yes. Yes, so if we were to approve this, when we create the budget in January, which we then approve in March, we would just have to, right now, our scholarship line item is $10,000, so we would just increase it to $12,000.
I would be okay with bringing it up to 15,000, doing a couple of scholarships because when just one person needing scholarships in their 2nd year, you would bring it up to 3 or 2. It's just an idea.
So you're saying, because right now it's at 10, we're taking it to 12, you're saying bring the total to 15?
15 or 16, and do 2 more than 3. All told.
As in?
$2,000 scholarship for 3 people. As opposed to
For
one.
this or for the usual one?
No, for this.
For this, gotcha. Okay.
That was just an idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. Certainly if we were to do that, so I think the first step would be to approve this scholarship, and then certainly if we were to go down that path, that's once we create the budget, we would just update the line item to, something greater than 12,000. So like you mentioned, 14 or 16,000. But I do like that idea.
Is there a more requirement? So they will have had to complete, pick a number, 15 credit hours for it.
Maybe that'd be a good thing here. What's the average hours per semester or per year now?
I think full-time is considered, I think
12 is
12
full-time.
is full-time?
Minimum.
12 is
Yeah, and many people do. will
12 is
do
minimum.
15,
I would like to
but
give it to a
12.
full-time student, obviously.
12 per
So then
semester.
for the first year would be 24,
Yeah, minimum.
right?
Mhm.
So, okay,
example.
so there's 12 credit hours per semester.
Per semester
24
minimum
credit
to be
hours
full-time.
total. And is that typical at all colleges? Like,
Mhm.
just 12 credit hours, is that ubiquitous? Okay.
Is that the same for trade schools?
I don't know what that is for trade school, just gonna say.
Yeah,
I don't know
trade
what-
school.
Yeah,
how
or
they
you
do
could
it.
just say whatever full-time
You would go
status
first
is
year,
at
2nd year,
school.
3rd year apprentice, that would be that leveling.
You'd say whatever is the full-time
However,
student mode
that
at
would,
the college
whether or
level.
not they have to pay for that, that would just depend. You might be in a different situation with including trade schools and that. It's a different type of programming. You know? Yeah, it's like a program, usually, of 9 months, 18 months, 24 months, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So it's not necessarily 1 year going to 2nd year, it's just
Right.
one
Correct.
Right,
continuous.
right. Mhm.
So I guess okay. So how would we adjust this?
You're talking about trade school or
You'd like a
apprenticeship?
program, yeah, well, I mean,
Apprenticeship programs, you're hired, you're
yeah, you're
making
hired,
money.
you're getting
I don't
paid,
think we
yeah, that's
should, yeah.
different. But like if, I guess if you're an apprentice in a trade program versus then you're a, I don't know if they do that in programs, but a lot of times, you know, if you're going for a certain, like a welding program, it's an 18-month program, or it's an 11-month program. You know, different things that are programs versus degreed type certifications versus degree versus programs. So that would be research
Okay.
of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe we could make it a requirement that they've had to complete the first X amount of months in their program.
Maybe, or you could add on to the lower scholarship of just out of high school going into the school because it's a one fee maybe. You know,
Yeah.
here it's $15,000 to pay for this 2-year program versus it's $15,000 for your first year of college, it's $15,000 for your second year of college. You know, where you're going in and here's your price for your program and it's going to be 11 months or whatever.
I do know for the full $2,000 usual scholarships that we had, I know, I think it was around either last year or the year before, we did adjust it to include folks applying to trade school. So I guess in this case, it might not apply, so we might just need to
You might eliminate that.
omit that out,
Mhm.
so I'll do that. I do have a question.
Omit the trade school aspect?
For the higher
For this
education.
higher education scholarship.
Right, because it's just when you start to go to a trade, like if, once you're out of high school and you say, I'm gonna go into this program, you're paying that usually. I mean, they might have,
Oh.
it's not like then you're gonna pay another 15,000 for the next year or another 15,000. Your
Right.
program is going to be that, it just would depend, you know, so say you wanna go into, the welding program at the welding school in Romeoville. If it's $11,000 or $7,000, that program is what it is, and it's going to be for that 11 months. You know, you would go out of high school for that.
My thought is, any trade school or that you're gonna go, 9-month or 10-month or
Yeah.
12-month thing is gonna be in the first year, not in the
Correct.
second.
Correct, yeah.
Yes, so it would be
So-
people
so
out of
it would
high
be out of
school,
that.
so they, you might wanna add, if you wanted to add an extra scholarship in that area or not.
That would be on the first, the regular.
Yeah,
This
like you
one-
could do, you know, so many scholarships for college, so many scholarships for trade school, so many scholarships for military, or you just have that even, but the higher education, that's different.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's all different.
Okay.
Right, right, mhm.
All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll omit the trade school option, the higher education, and then we'll look at either implementing a future trade school scholarship. I know currently the 4 scholarships do have it across the board. I will say, now granted, it's only been a few years, we haven't had anyone from trade school apply to scholarship yet. But that just might mean we need to do different kind of outreach, because currently our outreach is just within the high schools and in our newsletter. So maybe I could reach out to some of the
There's
community
instructors at
locals.
the high school that you may be able to reach out, or Wilco. Is the career center that high school students can go to for some of these future then trade school careers. It just depends. They have a welding
Unions I
program.
wouldn't worry about too much because their apprenticeship program,
No, they-
they're paid, they're paid to work.
Mhm.
You just have to go to class for a week or a month or
Mhm.
whatever it is, whatever the program is. But they're being paid.
One question that came up when I was brainstorming with staff is, I have received input from this, now not as much as students currently in their first, second year of college, et cetera. But for someone, say, applying to grad school, right, whether it's law school, MBA, PhD, et cetera, would we consider that to be a part of this? Or do we think that would have to be a separate scholarship that we would consider sometime in the future?
That can get real technical.
I was
Because you can
thinking-
have somebody who's my age going to grad school, right?
I like to just keep it
Keep it to,
under control at this point in time.
Yeah.
what's the, I didn't include it in this bit because I was leaning towards that way as well, but I figured I'd ask the board.
Your age.
Yeah, you're right.
Your-
I did that for
These
Alex.
two paragraphs, are they meant to be two separate awards, one based on GPA and one not based on GPA, or is this one thing?
No,
Or is it
it's
describing
just
the
one,
same award?
it's describing the same award, I think we just
Okay.
need a wordsmith a little bit. But yeah, it's one $2,000 scholarship, someone who's already in college, and then they must have a minimum GPA of, 2.5, must be a resident of the township, so we'll update the wording a little
Yeah,
bit.
a lot of times with grad programs too, like you get a job at the college and you have your tuition reimbursed, or you can get, company reimbursement because you're working somewhere. So those people that are in that category, a lot of times have options. You're already in college, there's not a lot of options,
Right.
you know.
Not to
So
throw
I'm
another
wondering-
curveball, but that's a 2.5 out of 5 or 4.
4.0.
Just close
Yeah,
up.
right?
It's a good one, I'll include that.
I say-
Unweighted.
Unrated.
And I was also wondering for, once they're in college, it's kind of a low GPA,
It's been like that for the high school.
Yeah, you know what, when this was originally established, it wasn't for the smart kids. It was to help all of the township kids.
And once you're in college, hopefully you're taking it seriously, but about 3.0.
I mean, I'm for increasing it to 3.0. I know that's what I usually see in many of the scholarships. I'm open to either 2.5 or 3.0. Out of 4, unweighted.
Yeah, out of 4.
Okay, so what I'm hearing right now, some amendments, is amend the 2.5 GPA to a 3.0 out of 4.0 unweighted, and then omit the bit about the trade school. Right, so question for our attorney.
Yes.
If we wanted to approve the scholarship with those edits that I just proposed, can we just motion, what would that motion look like? Just motion to approve the scholarship
That's what
as amended? Okay.
And you also, I think we're gonna amend the, number out. The hours they're gonna
I think you increase.
do, whatever full-time is.
Either 1 year, 1 full year, or was it 24 credit hours?
Minimum.
Yeah.
Okay,
That should,
all right, so I'm gonna,
And then Ron also raised about maybe having more than one, so that we have a total of 15 or 16,000.
$16,000, so we do that at the budget time. We could do
But
that
it
at the
could
budget
also-
time, right?
Just, we have two 2,500 on the scholarships, that would be 5,000.
we could.
Yeah, there's not that many people can get a second or third year 25, money.
Right. I think we could do, just to be safe, is we could say approve up to 3 of these scholarships. And I guess we should agree though on the dollar amounts. Right now it's 2,000. Are folks thinking we do 2,000, 3, 2,000, 2,500? What does the board think?
I'm going for 225.
I would go for 2 or 3, 2,000, because I'd like to help more people than just, but that's my opinion.
You concur with what?
Which one?
What you guys
I
are
need,
saying?
well, which
We're
one,
saying
2,500 or
two.
2,000? You want 3
so
scholarships or 2?
3 25s or 3 2s.
3 2.
The twos?
Help more people.
Okay.
I did that trade school undergrad, I did it all, so that's why I was shaking my head like, ooh, this is getting complicated, thank you, Aaron, because it does.
My last comment, I promise.
Yes.
What is accepted? You talk about a close relative,
Son, daughter,
so let's just,
It's
that's what that is. Son, daughter, niece, nephew.
Yeah, probably should let us know. Remember we had something at
for the employee handbook, right?
human resources thing at work sometime.
The employee handbook.
Blood, well, you say blood relative, because adoption, then
Correct.
Okay.
Because I can do
Yeah,
the
maybe we could just
cousin,
spend some time on that.
But we did this,
About
the
it
one
or whatever,
and
yeah.
I apologize, I just can't remember what that was.
Yeah.
But for this thing, it should probably include siblings.
Oh, you're right,
And
there's no
employee-
siblings here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Aaron's sister-
Siblings and spouses.
She might. She's younger than me.
Siblings and spouses.
12 years younger.
Okay, all right, there's a couple of amendments, I'm gonna note them down. So amendment 1, amend the GPA from 2.5 to 3.0 out of 4.0 unweighted. All right, amendment 2, omit the bit about the trade schools.
Okay.
Amendment 3, amend from one $2,000 scholarship to 3 $2,000 scholarships. Amendment 4 was to change the definition of close relatives so it matches the definition noted in the township's employee handbook.
But adding siblings and spouses.
I do believe that's in the employee handbook.
Yeah, sons, daughters,
Because we have our
nephews.
nepotism clause in there. Okay, so that's 4 amendments.
And then your number of hours.
And then the fifth amendment is to include the minimum of 24 credit hours or 1 full-time year. All right, so that's 5 amendments. Any others?
Not an amendment, but I think I raised this once before. I thought I heard in one of the TLI training meetings, the townships can't offer scholarships. So,
TOI itself offers a
I was gonna
scholarship.
say,
Yeah,
I
I feel like it doesn't actually, in perspectives, this month they had a list of about 40 people they gave scholarships to.
There's a
Each
TOI,
townships,
they're
individual
different.
townships.
oh, okay,
there's a
We've had-
TOI
We've had the
scholarship.
other ones for,
very long.
Before me.
yeah.
I know other townships, like Plainfield Township, a couple of the bigger ones, they could come do offer it.
Yeah, so I never really looked into why, but somebody said that in one of the trainings.
They were
No, I know.
wrong.
Wrong.
Because
Our
TOI
scholarship
itself
is
has a
different.
huge
Yeah.
scholarship.
Well, TOI is a different entity than township
Yeah.
government. Still, yeah, we know what their townships.
They had
do.
to interview a township official, and it's good, big write-up.
You're
So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Getting back on track here, I listed those 5 amendments. Any final amendments? Hearing none, if I can entertain a motion to establish the Lockport Township Higher Education Scholarships as amended.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. Madam Clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Sapien,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Alberico,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on now to the final approval for the night. It is one event with HerScan and funding for screenings for Lockport Township residents, with the funding amount to be determined by Lockport Township Board. Madam Clerk, I know this is a project you're spearheading. I can give a little bit of context, but I can hand over the floor to you if you'd like to give an explanation to the board.
Basically, in my report, I did outline how we are a champ location, just meaning they use our building, I set up for them, they take care of everything. Anyone from anywhere can come visit on that date by hitting the QR, calling their number, or going to herscan.com. They have to pay either with a credit or debit card or their health savings or flex spending. If you decided you wanted to host an event, and Alex had mentioned this to me, and I thought, you know, it's a great idea, I'm gonna get the information. If you want to host an event, that would mean it would be an exclusive thing for either your employees or, you know, your company. Well, we're a township, so we could do our township residents. And what we would have happen would be anyone that is in the township that desires to have a HerScan procedure done would call my office, sign up for it, and then I contact HerScan and they add them to their spreadsheet. They can see up to 22 people in one day. The cost for one ultrasound exam for a person is $295. So they did tell me that you have to pay in advance. We have it all arranged ahead of time. They know what their list is going to be. You decide if you want to have a day and a half, 2 days, however you want to do it. You can cover $50 of it. You can cover all of it at $295. I know in the past, you know, with vaccines and shingle shots and all the things that we've covered, the money amount gets up there. That's been ongoing for years. This is a newer thing that's going on. Is it optional? Yes, but so are the other things, you know, just to consider, to have something available that's a little bit different, and it's right here. So Alex and I, like I said, we've been talking about this. I got the information, and I'm just giving you what then I got sent in the packet here towards the end that explains how it works and what goes on, what it's all about. They had a lengthy conversation about it. Interestingly enough, too, the person that does perform the ultrasound technology for us lives right down the road.
Oh,
So the township's near and dear to her, and she's the one that said, you know, we do this, and then Alex had said, you know, we do this, and I said, well, let's talk about doing this and see. We could do it once, we could do it once a year, we could not do it, but it's something to entertain. So it would change that date particular to being an event, where it would be exclusive just to who we would invite. Would we invite township residents only? Would it be an employee thing? Which, we're not a large company, so it wouldn't be an employee thing as much, because I've been helping with outreach with the CHAMP stuff that we have with some of our employees for that, but to look at it being township-wide is what is the consideration.
So did you say they can handle 22 people per day?
Correct.
Did they get that? So
Mhm.
you're looking at doing this for 2 days for 22 people?
No, we never really came up with, it was just to be determined by the board. So we could, right now, if we wanted to, if this ends up passing, and we wanna designate, I have December 2nd, that would be something that would be available perhaps to do that. I don't know if anybody's booked on that day yet. We already have people booked for October 29th. We already have people booked for the November 12th date. So, or it could be something to think about for next year too. But Alex has the answers on where the money would come from and how it would work.
Right, another question, you're saying, so the way the last one was, and 2 that are currently on the calendar, is that they use the person's insurance or whatever?
No,
no.
there's 3 dates that are on the calendar right now. You have to pay out of pocket $295. When you come here, if you have a flex spending card or you have an HSA account card, you can use that as a credit or debit. They do take that. There's no insurance involved.
Oh, okay.
Insurance is not
Doesn't cover
on,
this now.
correct, insurance is not onto this quite yet. So if you do a little research and you read about this, you're gonna see that their percentage of accuracy is pretty high. And if you do not have a mammogram that looks good to a doctor, that's what they're sending you is for an ultrasound. And then, you know, it goes on to MRI and stuff like that. But, and especially for dense tissue people, this is what they'll go right to, because the ultrasound is very accurate and there's no radiation exposure and it doesn't hurt. So those are 3 key things. But for to have that 96%, I think it is, accuracy, that's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is.
So with October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I lost my dear friend Laura back in June, I really started thinking about this, and this is pretty important, I think, in the aspect of everything. We do offer a lot for certain ages. This spans a lot of ages, and it could be male or female. We haven't had very many men that have signed up, she has told me, you know, across the board, but this is nationwide. They're based in Florida, this is nationwide, and how fortunate we are to have someone real close that I know I can count on her to show up. I meet her early, I set up my conference room, so she's got privacy. So I had to do a lot of work for her, but we're a great team and it works out. I come in early, I stay late, we get it done. The people right now for the dates that are open make all their reservations through her scan. So I have no idea who they are until they walk in the door, and if I happen to see them, you know. But it's really, and they were happy with that we had 10 people on the first day. They were pleased with that, so much that they did ask me to add more dates. So.
Alright, but if we did offer it to township, would they be able to screen for township residents, or is that?
No, they don't do that, we do.
You would
They'll
do
call
it.
us directly, just like people would call you for an appointment at OSCO or for the shingle shot. They'll call us directly,
So we would just.
we confirm residency, then we allow them to book the appointment. Up to 22 people.
I think just to add on context from my perspective, and clerk, please feel free to correct me or add on at any point. I remember seeing that when the clerk first established this program, with residents coming in, I did see just from a distance that it was very successful, so much that it was also in the newspaper as well. right? There's
Yes.
been more
Yes.
dates booked. And I remember at the time, right as the clerk was setting this up, we had just approved an updated partnership and contract with Julasco, right? So currently the township, we're covering quite a bit of physical health for residents of all ages, vaccinations, health screenings through Julasco, and we're also covering mental health through ThriveWorks. And so I do like the trajectory that the township is taking health-wise. And so when I saw that the clerk was having a very high success rate with this program, I understand that the program, currently is open to anyone in the entire county, right? But they have to pay out of pocket.
It's open, they
$2.95.
come from anywhere, they can just.
Open to any
yeah,
resident,
Anywhere in
which is-
Illinois,
which is
or
expensive.
they wanna come over from Indiana, they come over, they just pick their location, yes,
Anywhere in the world, basically.
basically.
And so speaking with the clerk, we thought it would be a good idea, hey, if we're already covering, health and incentivizing people to get their vaccinations, get mental health treatment, right? I've mentioned before in a previous meeting, we should start to have some sort of health programs, tailored towards women. Like I mentioned before, the Women's Wellness Closet regarding menstrual health, but I think having these screenings, especially in light of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I think it'd be a good idea then if the township, given that it's pretty easy logistically wise to screen for township residents, and it's up to anywhere from 20 to 22 people,
Mhm.
I think it would be a good idea for us to, sponsor a program like this, even if it's just one time at the end of this year, just as a test. And if we do the math, right, if we were to do 22 people, which is the maximum at $295, then that would be $6,490. And so from a budget perspective, we do have, our health projects line item in town that we could use to cover this. Additionally, if, there were any changes to the budget, especially in the upcoming year, we could, just to be specific, create another line item, for this, specifically for this if we wanted to. But overall, I think it would be a great idea, especially if it's in December. Depending on the date, we may be able to put it in the newsletter, and if not, we do have social media, we have the email newsletter and the newspaper as well, so.
So I have the date reserved for sure,
Okay.
so it's whether or not, and, I can just talk to them and see, and take a look.
Yeah, so my immediate thought is if we have people that are township residents that have signed up for this and paid $295.
You don't pay in advance, you pay when you get there.
Okay,
So if they wanna change their date, they
Yeah.
can.
for the people that, for the.
Because I
last
paid for mine already, and then I started hosting them, and I could've gotten one for free. But it was important that I had it done, so, yeah.
So just if they hear after the fact that they could have gotten.
It is what it is, yeah,
Yeah,
and because
they
it's
could
open to
probably-
everyone.
They could probably, would they send a notice out to people that already signed out, that if they're a township
No.
resident?
No, mm-mm.
So just to look at the draw figure.
Yeah, I mean, we can publish it enough, we can talk about it enough, and they say, hey, wait a minute, I'm scheduled for November 12th, but if I can get it paid for and come in December 2nd, I will. It's one of those things that I could probably talk to her to see if I can get access to that. Hey, how many Lockport people do you have, and are they, or Crest Hill people, because we had a lot of Lockport people at that first date. I didn't have names or addresses. She said, we have a lot of Lockport people. I can tell you that. She said, I can just see the sheets. I lot of Lockport. I could probably figure that out too, and start with that list.
Ron?
I'd be willing to make a motion to do a pilot program of one event for not to exceed $6,500.
I'm hearing that, so.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you. Good.
To reiterate, trustee Ronald Rico made a motion to approve one pilot event with her scan and funding for screens for Lockport Township residents in the funding amount not to exceed $6,500. And then we had a second by trustee Karen Johnson.
Mhm.
Can I get a confirmation?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
In that case, Madam Clerk, if I could please have a roll call?
Right?
Yes.
Alvarico,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sabian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very important.
Awesome. All right, the motion carries. We'll move on now. I won't go over the list of past events, but I will go into upcoming events. We have a few upcoming events. There is There's two specifically that I do want to highlight. So one is coming up this Thursday. It's over at Carillon Lakes. It's a presentation. It's in partnership with, it's the township office presenting in partnership with Lockport Township Park District. Those that came last year, we were invited by Carillon Lakes to give a presentation specifically on an update on the township and also on senior services. Last year we had a great turnout. We had about almost 80 residents attend. The Park District will be there to give an update on their end. The assessor is giving an update just on property assessments and tax exemptions. And then last year our MC was Mayor Ray Solomon. This year our MC will be State Senator Meg Capel. So that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. at Carillon Lakes Clubhouse. All here are welcome to attend. I have already sent out via email if anyone was interested in speaking. I haven't heard from anyone other than the assessor and the Park District, but if anyone has any last minute requests, please let me know. And then finally, this was just something I wanted to inform the board about, but given our participation in the internship program that we started this previous year, Will County, they are going into the third year of the internship program, and usually they host informational events throughout the county. They had one in Romanville at the Innovation Center, I believe it was last week. Last year, their Lockport location was at the high school. This year, they reached out and they asked if we could have it here at the township office. And I know it's close to trunk or treat, but we're coordinating with the assessor's office and maintenance. Everything will work out, but I think it would be a great idea. We're hosting an internship information presentation on the 22nd from 8 a.m. to 9:30. It's information just for employers, for any employer that's interested in participating in the program and hiring interns. That's what this information session is about. Again, this event is open to the public if anyone is interested, but just wanted to bring it to people's attention. And then that's it. Do you have any final questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, if I can entertain a motion to adjourn
I'll make that
the
motion.
township regular meeting. I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second that.
second by Dion Wright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Township regular meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.